At these brothers, man, I want y'all to do something this weekend. Right now, it's Saturday evening here in Thailand, man. So I'll probably be posting this around Saturday morning back in the States, man. And I want y'all to do something for the next 48 hours, Saturday and Sunday, man. And I promise y'all, if y'all do this thing I'm going to talk about today, man, it's going to shock you. It's going to shock you how quick we can transform our lives into something else. You know what I'm saying? So for the next 48 hours, man, I want you to completely ignore your reality. Completely ignore your reality. And when I say ignore your reality, I'm specifically talking about, ignoring the parts of your life that you're trying to change. You know what I'm saying? And I want you to completely walk in the state of the place you're trying to be, the situation, the scenario, the condition you're trying to be in. I'm saying it again, man. I want you to ignore your current reality and walk in the state that you're trying to walk in. Which means if you're trying to find yourself in a better financial situation, I want you to walk as if it's already done. If you're trying to find yourself 20 pounds, 40 pounds lighter, I want you to walk around this world as if it's already done. Whether it's health, whether it's your relationship getting better, man. I want you to completely ignore the world that you're seeing, man. And I promise you, everything is going to change. Everything is going to change, man. You know what I'm saying? Kind of what I talked about in the singular truth, man. I say, you know what? When we look around at our current situations and we're like, man, how did I get in this situation? Like, how did I let my money get funny? How did I let my weight get out of control? Now my clothes don't even fit right. How did I let XYZ get out of control? You have to understand the exact same way that we got in those situations is the exact same way that we'll get out. And what I'm telling you is that what I'm telling you at the end of the day is what you're walking in currently is what's creating your reality. So I'm telling you to ignore the reality you've already created and create a new one. But the thing is this, and this is where most people run into an issue. Most people, I'll say the far majority of people, don't even have a world that they want to walk into. Now, I mean, they'll have, and I said this before, they'll have thoughts, they'll have brief moments of living vicariously through somebody on Instagram and say, hey, you know what? One day I want to move like that one day, but that's as far as it goes. That's why everybody's always scrolling, because they're only living vicariously through people that are already doing it. But very few people, man, take those experiences they see somebody else moving in and bring it within themselves and create it within their mind and say, hey, you know what? Not only am I desiring to move in a certain way, one day I'm going to be doing that. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm not going to go down that whole spiel of 4 levels of becoming and all that stuff. But for those that have a vision, I'm telling you this, man, completely ignore your current reality and walk in your vision for the next 48 hours. And I promise you 100% of the people that do it will see life changing around them. You know what I'm saying? It's all about, and when I say walking in walking in your I am, or walking in that new state, I'm gonna tell you this, man. It's all about, like, everything as far as creating a new world is all about capturing and moving in a different aura. Capturing and then moving in a different aura, in a different state of being. You know what I'm saying? And this is when I've shared this maybe before, but when I understood this is when I worked for my last job. I worked for Cummins Inc., right? And I had a lot of freedom, man, to go work at coffee shops and all kind of. And I remember when I was going to these coffee shops to work, I would see people come in, and I would see them. They're sitting there drinking their lattes, and they're on their laptops, and they're in t-shirts and shorts and flip flops. I noticed a different energy about them. I noticed there was a different level of freedom that was on them. There was something on them. And I understood, like, hey, man, you know what? These people that are coming to drink coffee or coming into these restaurants, man, and they're just dressed down at 2 o'clock in the evening, at 10 o'clock in the morning, at 3:30 when everybody is at work. I said, these people are entrepreneurs. These people are moving in a different energy. So what I began to do was capture the frequency they were in. At the same time, man, when I would go to some of these golfing and golfing outings, or I would go to some of these, higher end restaurants throughout, random hours of the day, and I would see people just moving different. I began to capture that energy, man. And what I began to do over the course of 6 months, over the course of, a 60-day period, I began to move in that energy. Even though, again, what I'm saying is I began to ignore the fact that I was on salary, and I loved my job. I began to ignore the fact that I was on salary. I began to ignore the fact that I had a manager to report to. I began to ignore the fact that I had a certain schedule that I needed to work on. And I began to walk as if I called my own shots, as if I made my own schedule, as if I own my own 24 hours. You know what I'm saying? So like when you hear me say walk in your I am, I'm gonna tell you this. And this is just me talking. Like we can meditate and chant and count bees and do all the the religious spiritual things that we do to move forward. In my opinion, there is nothing more powerful than getting up, walking outside, going outside and walking around the block. And I'm going to tell you why, man, because to me, this is me speaking. To me, when a person is walking, it takes so much energy to move in a certain manner that is creating that field around you. And this is what I mean, because that might not have came out where you could really. It's like the example I use all the time when I say, hey, go to an unemployment office. Just walk in there randomly, right? You can tell the people that are working there as opposed to the people that are there getting a check because they're moving different. They're moving different. Go to a high-end coffee shop. Go to some high-end restaurant and watch how people move, and then go and feed the homeless people. People there are going to be walking with a different aura around themselves. And what people don't understand is that aura that you walk in is what the world is responding to. Like I've said a zillion times, man, a lot of people wake up and they cut the TV on, they cut the social medias on and all this stuff to see what the world is doing, and they respond to that. They conduct themselves to what the president told them to do and say, not knowing that the world is actually responding to them. It's responding to that I am you're walking in, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying, man, for the next 48 hours, ignore the world you've created if you're trying to level up, if you're trying to quantum leap. I'm saying for the next 48 hours, ignore the world that you've created and walk as if you're already in that current state that you want to be in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the bank balance may say, negative 50,000 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? The cholesterol level and the blood levels and the sugar levels and all this kind of stuff and the doctor results may say a certain thing, man. But I'm telling you, bro, like the power we have as mankind, bro, we really sleep on it, man. If we can just learn to walk in a different energy, bro, it's game changing. And when you understand that, because I'll say this, I'll say us as human beings, man, we can put a lot of emphasis on making things harder than it is. And I'm talking about everybody. Everybody can go to their own particular religions and say, you got to jump through these hoops to move forward, and you got to guide, and you got to pay this percent, and you got to do all these things to get your world to do a certain thing. And I'm not pointing at religion. I'm talking about even when we look at the great philosophers, and we look at everybody. Everybody has their own series of events that need to take place to quantum leap. But it's not that difficult. It all comes down to you. It all comes down to you creating a vision, making a decision, and then walking in that energy. And once you walk in that energy, the last part of that is walking in that energy and never coming out of that state, bro. And never coming out of that state. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want it. This is. I'm gonna say this. I don't want this to sound like I'm talking about some magic / pixie dust, big pixie dust type talk. I'm not saying that, hey man, if you walk in this state for the next 48 hours, then in 48 hours, man, like you won't even be able to recognize your world and everything will have changed. I'm not saying that. Because in 48 hours, the chaos that you've created now, 99% of it will still be there. You'll be seeing signs. You're going to see something in 48 hours that you said, hey, you know what? I see where my old world is crumbling strictly because I'm moving in a different state. But you gotta understand, man, it's at that point, man, it becomes two things. Like after that 48-hour period or whatever, it becomes an issue of you knowing. Meaning I know that if I continue to walk in this state, if I continue to walk in this truth, that the world will continue to change. It's a knowing of how the world works. So again, man, when you're walking in that state and the world still isn't changing or is only changing 1% per day, man, you got to just say, hey, you know what? I'm living. This is the state that I'm living in now. Like I don't even know how to live in a different state. And I'm telling you, man, once you understand that, man, it's just a matter of time before your world changes. So that's one. One is just learning how to stay in that state, which is just understanding what prayer is, right? Two is understanding that once you make that change, once you see that first 1%, you got to understand that the entire population around you will be signaled. The entire population around you will be signaled. For some reason, man, the world, like the population, people in this world can feel when you make that shift. They can feel it. You know what I'm saying? For example, man, just on a smaller level, I can be sitting at home all day. I can be sitting at home. I can be sitting there chilling all day, man, just kind of scrolling on the gram and kind of just peddling around and might do a little cleaning or whatever. But as soon as I say, okay, let me hunker down and get on this project. Let me get on writing this book, or let me go sit down and get ready to meditate. Let me make me some coffee and get ready to meditate. I might get 3 or 4 random messages. Ding, 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 ding. Hey, what you got going on? What you doing? It's like, what? The world feels when progress is getting ready to be made. So that first thing is understanding that you have to stay in it. But that second one is understanding that the world is going to attempt to bring you out. And I'm going to tell you this, after you've only seen 1% of change, you know what I'm saying? 2%, 5% of change, it's still easy for the world to convince you that, hey man, yeah, let's go back out here and do this thing we always do. Or, hey, big head, I'm going to be in your city. Like internally, I know you're saying to yourself, I know I'm somebody else. I know I don't do the things that I used to do. But since I've only seen a minor percent, yeah, girl, come on over, man. Let's hang out this weekend. Let's do what we do. And then you're sitting there just crumbling, you're just destroying the world that you were getting ready to build around yourself, man. Life is a beautiful thing, bro. And when I say it's a beautiful thing, when I say it's a beautiful thing, I'm gonna tell you what I mean when I say life is a beautiful thing. Because even though we can look out in the world, man, and look at what appears to be barriers and challenges and differences in race and grew up on this side of the tracks and I ain't got all these things that we think limit us or separate us. When I say that life is beautiful, I'm saying that strictly because all these things that we think have some kind of authority over us, or some kind of or some kind of things we got to go through to get some kind of approval, they're not real. I won't say they're not real, but I'll say they're irrelevant to you if you know how to build a world outside of that. I'll say it like that. I won't say they aren't real, because a lot of people are still governed by these things. But they aren't real when you know how to build a world outside of the world that the system has created for you. I made this video, man, and I'm not sure if I think I might have posted it on YouTube Reels or Shorts or whatever it's called, but I definitely posted it on TikTok. And all I was saying was, it was like a 30-second vid, a 45-second vid. All I was saying was, hey, you have the ability to create a new truth. Like whatever you're experiencing, you have the ability to, I think I used the word override. I said, you have the ability to override your current situation. And yesterday, or day before yesterday, I can't remember, I get my days mixed up. Yesterday, a guy commented on it, man. And after I looked at his profile, I could tell that he was just a guy that kind of goes around just trolling different channels. I could just tell by his page. He was like, you can't do this. You can't override so and so. You know, and if we went back and forth, man, he was trying to poke and get me out of my, you know what I'm saying, get me out of my square. But I was just like, no, like, bro, let's talk about this. Let's chop about it, man. And after my last response, after going back about 4 or 5 times, he just stopped responding. You know what I'm saying? He was coming with all this chat GPT response and all this kind of stuff. But after my last response, I never heard back from him. And all I said was, whatever your current reality is, I said, if you change your truth, you'll change your world. And I said, because the only thing that's taking place is when you change your truth, you're changing your thoughts, you're changing your behaviors, you're changing your actions, you're changing your motives. And those are the things that the world is responding to. So once you change the ingredients that you're cooking with, your world has to change. It has to change. But the thing is, and I'm understanding this as I'm saying this, the thing is, it's not necessarily people knowing that. It's people first having a destination that they want to go to. It's people having a truth that they want to live in. You know what I'm saying? So all I'm gonna say is this weekend, man, like find you a new truth. First, find you a new truth. Think outside the box, man. You know, cut the TV off for 5-10 minutes, man. Like miss 1 or 2 football games. Miss a few series of I don't know what people are watching now. People don't watch Power no more. I don't know what the new sitcom is. You know? Miss a few episodes and catch them later, man. Skip a date or 2 with the woman that just want to go out and get a steak and mimosa on you. Skip that. Skip going to smoke blunts with the partners and just sit still, man, and say, you know what, this weekend I'm going to sit here and think about a different reality. I'm going to sit here and think about, like, what could I do? What could I be? Where could I live if I wasn't afraid to think? You know what I'm saying? If I moved as if God was with me, what would my life be like? You know what I'm saying? What would I be doing? Where would I be living? And think high, bro. Write it down. And then once you write it down, man, you close that journal up, you sit the pen down and you stand up. And you walk as if it already is. How copy? You walk as if it already is. You know what I'm saying? You expose yourself if you're able to. If you're able to drive to the other side of town, man, and put yourself in scenarios where they're parking the Lamborghinis and the women of a different caliber are moving around and people are dressing different and talking different. If you can put yourself in that state, in that environment, do that. If not, get on YouTube. Everything is on the World Wide Web, and absorb it. And absorb it, man. Absorb that aura, bro. And walk in it, man. And I promise you, bro, I put this on everything, man. I promise you, if you walk in that new state, everything will change, brothers.